All right, so this podcast is going to be different than any other podcast I've ever done. And for you new Vegas Golden Knights fans new to the Knights Nation podcast this season, I spent a lot of time. I averaged about 8 hours a week getting research, grabbing audio, and doing the podcast. Now, I did this since June of last year. This is the, 39th, 40th podcast now I've done. And, I mean, here's my intro. This is the only external audio I am going to do on this podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of...
Welcome to Knights Nation, an unofficial podcast discussing all things Vegas Golden Knights. A show designed for the fans, by a fan. Produced locally in Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the Fortress. Weekly episodes include segments Numbers Don't Lie, VGK Rewind, and What the Puck. And now, here's your host, the VGK Bug-Eye Guy.
All right, what's going on, Vegas Golden Knights fans?
Nick, the VGK Bug-Eye Guy here. And, you know, I'm sad. I'm sad like all of you guys. All you fellow Vegas Golden Knights fans out there, I know you guys all feel exactly the way I do. I mean, it was a great season. It had its ups and downs, and then we made the playoffs, and then this series had its ups and downs. And, you know, I had a whole plan for this podcast, you know, and I knew this series could go two ways, but, you know, of course, when we're up 3-1, a little confident, a little cocky, yeah, okay. And then I posted on, I think it was Monday, yeah, because, you know, normally it's podcast Monday, and since I've done a podcast, it used to be podcast Fridays, and then a little bit halfway through the season, I switched to Mondays. It was just easier, better. I started to get a lot more listeners when I switched to Mondays, so I've always prided myself since I started this to remain on a schedule. That's all I really wanted to do was, you know, if you research joining a podcast or a YouTube channel or something, all the big name people always say consistency, and you got to keep to a schedule. If you're going to do 3 videos a week, you need to upload 3 videos a week. If you're going to do a weekly podcast on Fridays or Mondays, well, you better release it on Fridays or Mondays. Now, I'm no different. You know, if something came up or a couple weeks back, you know, we had a game on Sunday and Monday. I'm like, well, how the hell am I going to do a podcast? In situations like that, you send a tweet or a post and say, hey, fans, I'm going to do a podcast, and I just can't do it now. It's going to be at a later date. So I did that on Monday. I said, expect a podcast on Wednesday. Now, Wednesday would have been the day after Game 7, which would have been yesterday, as I'm recording this, sitting in my backyard with my mobile setup, like I used last week on vacation, recording from my truck. Now I'm sitting in my backyard, and I'm not going to edit this podcast. I'm not going to take the time to take the ums and uhs and I'm not taking any of that out. This isn't going to be as long because I'm not doing interviews. This is just the VGK Bug-Eye Guy, Nick, the guy that spends hours a week doing this podcast because I love it. I love sharing with fellow Vegas Golden Knights fans. I'm just sad. I know you guys are all sad too. Am I depressed? Sure, I got a little VD. You know, I texted the wife yesterday and says, hey, babe, on my way home from work, you know, I stopped by the doctor. And the doctor gave me some pretty bad news. You know, he said I'm suffering from VD. Victor Delta for you people. Victor Delta VD. And then the wife kind of like question mark emoji or something, you know, and, you know, she's thinking like venereal disease. Hey, motherfucker, you got venereal disease? Well, we need to talk is more like, I'm going to kick your ass. And then I'm like, no, babe, what I have is, it's very serious and it's highly contagious. A lot of people in Las Vegas right now, in Clark County especially, and around the world, VGK worldwide, but I'm telling you right now, in the city we live in, the county we live in, because some people live in Summerlin, North Las Vegas, Henderson, it's all Vegas, okay? We're all Vegas. But anyways, so I'm telling her I'm suffering from VD, and I end up telling her, you know, it's Vegas Golden Knights depression. And that's what it is. I'm just depressed because the Golden Knights lost. And, you know, I, yesterday, spent all day at work. You know, I got my work done, trust me, but I had my earbuds in. And I listened to all the pundits. And then when I got home, I listened to more pundits, and I scoured the internet. I tried to stay off social media because social media just pissed me off. Social media was just, Fry Eakin and Fry Paul Stasny. I'm like, oh, we'll get to that later. But anyway, so I tell the wife, like, I'm suffering from VD, Vegas Golden Knights depression, and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. And she's like, well, what cures VD? And I'm like, you know what cures VD? You guys are going, what? Taco Bell. See, for the bug-eyed guy, every once in a while, you just got to go to Taco Bell. And I'm not supporting Taco Bell. I'm not hating on Taco Bell. I love me some Taco Bell. Taco Bell is delicious. It's not real Mexican food. Hell, I don't even think you can really classify it as real food. But you know what? It tastes good. It makes you feel better. And you don't have to worry about eating Taco Bell. Some people listening right now, you health nuts out there, oh, you put that garbage in your body? That Taco Bell it's unhealthy. And I'm thinking, bullshit. I have never had an experience at Taco Bell where I felt like what I ate was unhealthy because they put some magical potion in the Taco Bell food. And 4 to 6 hours later, after consuming some delicious Taco Bell, you fucking lose 10 pounds out your asshole. It just happens. So, yeah. So I'm telling her that the cure for Vegas Golden Knights depression, or as we're going to refer to it now as VD, you got to get some Taco Bell. Well, the wife, 30 minutes later, texted me. She goes, there's like 10 people in line in the drive-thru for Taco Bell. And I'm telling her, like, duh, I just told you about the VD. I told you it was a epidemic. I'm telling her, like, CNN and the local news is reporting VD. It's mass hysteria around Clark County. And she's just laughing. And, I needed that. I needed that yesterday because I, like most of you Vegas Golden Knights fans listening to this, probably didn't get much sleep after that game. And for a majority of you that are grown-ass adults like me, you got up and you went to work the next day. For some of you super emotional, super over-the-top ones that called in sick, the bug-eyed guy wanted to call in sick. But what am I going to do, sit at home all day and mope? I might as well go to work and have a bunch of coworkers talk shit about the Golden Knights losing, ha ha ha. No. You got to move past it. And we might as well dive in. So here's another reason why I did not want to do a podcast till at least today. Today, as I'm recording, it's Thursday in the afternoon, sitting in my backyard by the pool. Dogs are out here chilling. If you can hear them in the background, I don't care. I'm not editing it out. Watching the planes fly over the top. It's kind of cool. The clouds are out a lot today, and you can see the contrails coming off a lot of the planes are crossing all over the place, which is kind of cool. And for you stupid conspiracy theorists listening to this and saying that's the government polluting us, no, you're an idiot and you don't know science. Hot and cold. But yeah. So I'm just sitting out here and I so desperately had to wait for today. I had to. Because today is the day that the players clean out their lockers. Today is the day that they have their team meeting. They do their post-season physicals, their out meetings, and then they get to meet with the media. Now, if anybody knows how to hook the bug-eyed guy up with a press pass, I would love that, but I do have a full-time job and a family, and I don't have that much time, and honestly, it's kind of hard just to get the 8 hours a week to do the podcast, let alone during the season going to games or watching every game, so goddamn dogs are barking. You guys hear my dogs barking? I got a pug whose name's Frank. Yes, we named him after the dog from Men in Black, which is a good movie. And if you don't like Men in Black, well. And then, of course, I got a boxer who's getting a little bit old. He's a Brindle-style boxer. He's a cool dog, and his name's Dallas. And, yes, he's named after the greatest football team on this planet. Talking about America's team, Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know I'm losing a bunch of guys right now going, goddamn Bug-Eye Guy is a freaking Dallas Cowboys fan. Are you kidding me? And Bug-Eye Guy, you're recording the podcast during the NFL draft? I'm like, yeah, duh, because the Dallas Cowboys don't have first-round pick because they traded it to the future Las Vegas Raiders for the Amari Cooper trade. So, and honestly, I don't care. I'm still in VD, so I don't care about football yet. But anyways, getting back to the podcast. See, one of these live ones, you guys are going to have to suffer with me rambling a little bit. See, most of the times I edit this shit out, but my dogs got me distracted because they're barking at some idiot in the front yard, and it is what it is. So, getting back to my story now, and again, for you guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast during this season. And, you know, I started out as the VGK Bug-Eye Guy podcast, and I kind of altered my voice to kind of mimic how I was doing my stupid squeaky filter face videos from last year. And if you guys haven't listened to any of my old podcasts, I know they're kind of hard to listen to because they're not my real voice, but I have some great content from early in the season, man. I was so fired up during the season when Schmidt was suspended, and then Schmidt came back, and Stasny got hurt, and people were hating on Stasny at the beginning of the season, and the ups and downs of John Merrill. I mean, and some of my rants were some of my best work, I think. I don't know. During the summertime, if you guys want to go, they're all available on podcast, iTunes, and Stitcher and all that stuff. Go listen to some of my old stuff. It's kind of funny. And I won't feel bad if you fast forward through the VGK Rewind portions where I talk about the games because you don't care because those games are history. But yeah. So, getting back to my whole story now, Taco Bell apparently is the cure for the VD because there was like 10 people in line and the wife got home and we had our Taco Bell, and just as I predicted, the Taco Bell went in real nice and it came out multiple times a little nicer, or not so nice, but and I needed that. I didn't get much sleep. Then I had to get up super early this morning to go to work, and now I'm home, and now I've had over a day to relax. And I just got done listening to all the outro interviews, I guess you can call them. You know, all those dudes with those press passes like Sinbin and Jesse Granger that works for The Athletic, and there's a couple of them other ones, Joe Payne, there's a bunch of them. Those guys, you know, they interviewed. Gallant did a postseason interview. GM George McPhee did one. Those were broadcast, of course, by the Vegas Golden Knights online. You could check those out at Vegas Golden Knights social media, like their Facebook page. I know they did Facebook Live. And then the players all talked. Now, I didn't feel comfortable doing a podcast for fellow Vegas Golden Knights fans until we actually heard something from Cody Eakin. Now, we heard from Jonathan Marchessault after the game, and obviously his post-game presser went viral because he dropped a couple F-bombs, and if any one of us were in his situation, I would assume that you would drop some F-bombs too. And we'll talk about the incident later. And I wanted to hear from the players. I really wanted to hear from GM George McPhee. I wanted to hear from him if the league reached out and apologized. And they did. So the league this morning came out and says that Dan O'Halloran and Fifey, or whatever his name is, and as well as the linesman, which the linesman didn't do anything wrong. It's not their call, but either way, they're not moving on in the playoffs. And I believe O'Halloran's played and refereed quite a few Stanley Cup finals. I think he even did one last year. Again, I could look that up. If this was a podcast that I was trying to actually produce and put out, I'd look that up for you. But guess what? I'm pissed off, and I don't give two fucks about how many games Dan O'Halloran did in the Stanley Cup finals. The fact that he's a fucking NFL official and hasn't been reprimanded for that shit, I don't care. I don't care. But I had to hear from Cody Eakin, and Sinbin got a pretty down to earth, pretty real time, real world interview with Cody Eakin. And I knew it just like everybody else. Cody Eakin feels terrible. Cody Eakin feels like he did nothing wrong. I mean, he actually told the story. He said, you know, they blew the whistle and he was kind of looking around like, what's going on? And then they sent him to the box. And then he's in the box, and then they come to get him out of the box, and he's thinking, oh, they must have reviewed it and saw that I didn't do anything and let me go back to the bench. And then they escorted him off. And he says he got to the back, and when he got to the back, he was there where the other players that weren't playing, you know, like Carpenter and them, were watching it. And he saw the review. He's like, I didn't do anything wrong. And then he kind of went on his own. and the team kind of left him alone. Because, I mean, what are you going to say? You know, I mean, what he feels bad, but then everybody, the whole world knows that he didn't do anything wrong, except the occasional Sharks fans and just, you know, people that want to stir the fucking pot. They would say, oh, it was a cross check. Okay, let's just dive into the fucking play right now. Was it a cross check? Sure. If you're watching it at slow motion in a game, in any game, let alone a playoff game, let alone a Game 7 playoff game, sure, technically he extended his arms with the stick. The problem is the fucking officials didn't see it. The problem is the fucking officials didn't have their hands up. The problem is the fucking officials in this game, Dan O'Halloran and that other Fifey guy or whatever his name is, they had Joe Thornton yelling at them, it's a major, it's a 5-minute major. And love Joe Thornton or hate Joe Thornton, he didn't see the play either. Nobody on the ice. Some of the players were kind of trying to stir the shit with Stastny and a little bit with Eakin. But if you listen to any interview after the game, reference the call, the dark cloud that will sit over the top of this game forever. Nobody saw it. The officials got together. They called a major. They went over to Gallant and said, 5-minute major. He's getting kicked out because of a cross check to the head causing injury. Cross check to the head. And Gallant's going, dude, I got replay right here. I know you fuckers can't use replay on majors because we're the NHL where we can spend 10 fucking minutes checking to see if a guy's skate is an eighth of a millimeter off for offsides. Or we can watch goaltender interference because our on-ice officials fuck it up. And then all of a sudden, we're going to spend 10 minutes trying to see if it's a call or not a call, and then it's probably going to go the opposite way for the Vegas Golden Knights. But they couldn't do that in this situation. So, of course, Thornton is going to call for a major. I mean, honestly, not Vegas Golden Knights fan, definitely not as a fan of hockey, as a fan of professional sports, I don't want to see anybody get injured. It was really scary when his head came up and blood was just gushing out of the back of his helmet. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? What happened? And, of course, they're pretty quick on the replay to show it on TV. You know, they're like, it's not really a penalty, but what happened? And I'm thinking, you know, in Game 1, he took a puck right off the face and scored, which was a lucky-ass one, but the result of that, he had to wear this, like, modified shield. He had a shield to protect his mouth area, and then, of course, he has his visor to protect his ojos, his eyes. So, maybe when he fell, and no, it wasn't a cross-check. If you believe it is cross-check, whatever. It's incidental contact. It's Game 7 of the fucking playoffs. That shit's going to happen. And then as he was kind of off balance, you know, of course, the puck, Eakin lost the face-off. Pavelski hit it back towards Burns. Now, you know Burns is going to shoot it. So Stastny to the right of Eakin is going towards Burns, and unfortunately Pavelski is off balance, coming down. And then some people said that Stastny slammed him into the ice. Are you kidding me? First of all, the whole play is like a second and a half total from start to finish. From puck drop to blood drop. I mean, it was no time at all. And you can honestly see Stastny kind of giving back, trying to grab hold a little bit, like he's going out of his way not to cause any more force into Pavelski. It was weird because Pavelski's legs were kind of all over the place, and this was all before impact on the ice. It was just like an off balance, maybe even a pushed followed by kind of a toe pick. I mean, kind of a about to lose an edge kind of thing. But he hits the ice hard. Because it's Eakin into Stastny, then the ice, his arms are down. He doesn't have a way to, like, reach out and brace himself. And all the impact from the force of his body is shoulder, head, ice. It looks scary. They didn't call the penalty. They're still skating around. Finally, it gets to the blue line on the back side of the ice. They blow it dead. Everyone's calling for the official to come over, and I get it. It looked bad. I felt bad. I feel bad for Pavelski. Pavelski is one of the players on the Sharks that I I don't totally hate. Like Jumbo Joe, EK65 Trader, who else? Let's see. Brent Burns, stupid Couture. Couture I hate. Of course, stupid Evander Kane. I mean, the list goes on and on. But Pavelski, yeah, he sucks too, but because he's so good. And they all suck because they're good, honestly. You guys know that. But I feel bad that Pavelski's down there. I feel bad that he got hurt. And the crazy thing is he got hurt on such a weird, crazy-ass play. I mean, it's not like he got slammed into the boards from behind, nasty boarding. It's not like he got hit with the high stick. I mean, dude, it's not like the Jumbo Joe Thornton against Nosek that got his ass suspended earlier in the series. It wasn't dirty like that. It was a freaking face-off in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, come on, really? The fact that Cody Eakin wasn't really told, was thrown out of the game, the officials never saw what really happened. The officials single-handedly changed the outcome of this game. Now, this is where I'm going to get to another subject that the whole internet, the whole world, I mean, everyone that cares about this series is talking about. The fact that the Vegas Golden Knights gave up 4 power play goals. The first one 6 seconds in because the Golden Knights were still in shock. They didn't even realize what had happened, and all of a sudden they got a goal. After the second one, Gallant should have called the timeout like everyone says. I agree, he should have called the timeout, but he didn't call a timeout, and they scored again. And I'm telling you guys, you're Golden Knights fans. You watched with me. You guys saw it. We saw it together. That crowd, that alleged Shark Tank, was drowning. It was quiet. The Golden Knights were dominating that game for the first 50 minutes. 50 minutes. We're up 3-0. Fleury made some amazing saves. The defense, the penalty kill before the major was crushing it. Hell, we killed off 2 penalties in the first 5 freaking minutes of the game. And the fact that those stupid officials, 9 penalties for the Vegas Golden Knights and only 2 for the Sharks. Come on, really? I mean, seriously? I'm all about playoffs and not calling stuff, but that's out of control. I know some of you guys are probably listening to this and go, Bug-Eye Guy, you got to take the higher ground. You have to put it behind you like Gallant said and like McPhee and Bill Foley said today. You know, you just got to, head up high, be the bigger man, and move forward. And honestly, for most of this podcast, I think I've been that way. But you guys got to remember, this is a podcast by a fan for the fans. This isn't a podcast by a reporter. I'm not one of the guys that went today and interviewed all these guys. That's not me. I'm a fan. And as a fan, especially a fan suffering from VD, I'm pissed. I know you guys are all pissed. We're pissed off. We feel like our Vegas Golden Knights got bent over and fucked right in the assholes with no lube. That's how it feels. And a lot of people out there are saying Vegas had a chance. They didn't have to give up 4 goals. I get it. I understand. We were frazzled. We lost our swag. That call flipped everything. And yeah, the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights, after that debacle of a penalty kill, now they're down with less than 5 minutes to go in the game, have the intestinal fortitude to actually come back and tie it and force overtime. And the overtime was exciting. I mean, if you're a fan of hockey, they're claiming this is one of the greatest games of all time. I would beg to differ because the first 50 minutes were pure domination by Vegas, and then you really only saw the Sharks after the penalty and then, of course, the awesome overtime. And we didn't win. Hell, the guy that scored for him was on his second shift of the whole overtime. So it's just that dude's night. It was the Sharks' night. Was it destiny? Apparently so. I mean, we just didn't know that destiny included one of the worst calls in NHL history, but it's okay. We have to move past this. We have to be the bigger people. The NHL manned up. They told GM George McPhee we got it wrong. The NHL decided not to let those idiot refs continue to ref in this playoffs because we don't want them screwing up another series, do we? Well, unless if it's in favor for the Avalanche, then I'd kind of be okay with that because that's the biased bug-eyed guy, and that's the fan talking. Speaking of that, who do I want to win now since since my bracket's busted, right? Because I had Vegas versus Boston in my bracket. I want ABS. No, not AVS, not Avs. Well, I do the next series, but no, ABS, Alpha Bravo Sierra. Anyone but San Jose. Yep, I don't care who wins. Who do I think could win? I would like to see the Carolina Hurricanes win because I love Justin Williams. He's a class act. Mr. Game 7 had a huge assist in the game-winning goal last night that saw our last year battle Capitals get booted out of the playoffs. And I know that makes a bunch of you Vegas Golden Knights fans feel really good. I know it because I felt a little bit good last night, too. It brought a little bit of joy to me, suffering from VD, but that Carolina victory made me feel good that the stupid Washington Capitals with dumbass Tom Wilson and Ovechkin are out. Done. Carolina would be cool. I'd like to see them win. Columbus is the story. I've talked about Columbus for many weeks in the podcast, since the trade deadline especially. Columbus could do something. Dallas, St. Louis. I mean, I always feared St. Louis in the playoffs, so I'm probably going to pull for them. And technically, I believe St. Louis is the only team left in the playoffs that has an ex-Vegas Golden Knight on the roster. So since they got David Perron, I guess I wonder if Spiza's still with the Islanders. I know he's not. Maybe Spiza's there, but David Perron is in the Blues, so I guess I kind of root for David Perron because he's the ex-Vegas Golden Knight. I don't know. I'm still going to watch hockey because I love hockey, but damn Vegas Golden Knights are out. I still feel like we got fucked over on a bad call because we did. But as I said earlier, 4 goals, we could have killed it off. Overtime, it's a crapshoot. The people out there saying that, selling that story, I get it. And it's like coming to a crossroads and you can either turn left or right. If you turn to the left, they don't make that call, or it's a 2-minute call, a 2-minute penalty, and then maybe they score 1 goal and it's 3-1, no big deal. Or to the right where they do make that call, and then what happens from there? Because honestly, that Shark Tank, that team, they were not coming back in that game. You could say whatever you want. That game was iced out. The way both teams were playing, the way the momentum was going in the game, I guess they could have come back because, of course, anything can happen, but the way that game was going, it was probably not going to happen. Could have been Jumbo Joe Thornton's last game. I mean, there's all these crazy storylines. And then the infamous play happens. And then the what happened after the 5-minute major, and then the overtime, and then the loss, it's all linked back to that one moment in time. Eakin 9-1-3. That's the time. 9 minutes, 13 seconds was when Eakin was called for the 5-minute major and given a game misconduct and removed from the ice for what could possibly go down as one of the most brutal. I mean, did you see all the blood? It must have been the worst penalty ever. It must have been the most brutal, vicious hit anyone could imagine. All that blood in a Game 7 matchup getting thrown out of the game. That's what you would think if you look at it on paper. If you never watched the game, never heard anything, and just read the box score, you're saying, oh my God, this guy Cody Eakin got a 5-minute major and a game misconduct and caused this captain of the other team, this star player, to be on the ice, knocked out with blood pouring out of the back of his head. This guy must be a very vicious player. He must be very mean. No, it's Cody freaking Eakin. I got to do a hashtag Eakin face earlier in the game because he had a high sticking goal that if you watch the replay, fans, and you idiot fans, that's another story. By the time the puck physically touched the shaft of his stick, it was parallel abeam his shoulders. Parallel, it's not high sticking. That's why the Zebras called it a good goal, because that's the rule. But yeah, I did a freaking Eakin video and texted to my buddy. that Eakin face because Eakin scored. He's one of the guys on the team that gives 110% all the time. I would compare him to like a March Assault, but different. As far as heart, him and Marchie got the heart for sure. Hey, goddamn dogs, don't you know I'm doing a fucking podcast out here? Shh, shut up. All right, now you PETA-loving people are going to be like, you yell at your dogs? Not normally. I do when they bark at dumb things like birds or rabbits. Or I don't know what he's doing. Whatever. Either way, Eakin, Marchie, dude, those dudes got heart, man. And I feel so bad for what happened to Cody Eakin. I feel bad. His teammates feel bad. I'm sure he got texts from all kinds of people, former teammates, former or other NHL players that he knows, friends, family. And there's nothing you can say. I mean, I guess Gallant earlier today, and you can watch his postgame, but he said something like, hey, Eakin, and Eakin just says, look, coach, I'm fine. I know. I get it. I did nothing wrong. It is what it is. I mean, I'm okay with it. And deep down, you know as well as I do, Patches and Stasny and Wild Bill and Revo and all those guys, you know they're saying this fucking bullshit and we got fucked over and this is a bullshit call and our season shouldn't be over. But we're the Vegas Golden Knights, man. We're a resilient team. We're a proud team. We do shit the right way. And they all came out in these interviews and they talked a little bit about it, and rightfully so. The media deserves to hear their opinion on the call because, you say it affects us. And sure, it affects us because we're fans and we're emotionally attached to this team. But the actual players on the ice, I mean, that's a brotherhood, that's a family, that's a bond. And I'm sure they all reacted a little bit differently, and I'm sure they all tried to do whatever Eakin wanted. And honestly, Eakin probably just wanted to be left alone. And that's a terrible feeling. And that's a feeling that the shameful NHL officials in this Game 7 against the Sharks bestowed on freaking Eakin. Now, moving forward from this, what do I think is going to happen? Bill Foley, Gallant, they didn't ask Gallant, but they asked Foley and definitely McPhee how they feel about, adding replay. Because that seems to be the big question. Everyone's talking about a replay for majors. I think, my opinion, the Bug Eye guy's opinion, if you're going to throw a guy out of the game or assess a 5-minute major, the 5 for forever major, score as many time major, it's a huge, huge, huge opportunity for your opposing team. But maybe you should at least take a quick look at it to make sure you get it right. The officials and getting stuff right and not getting stuff right, they had the potential. The NHL had the potential in that Carolina game. That Carolina game last night. Sorry. I told you I'm doing this one real. I apologize for the ums and the... But look, in the first overtime of the Carolina-Washington game, the Washington Capitals clearly shot the puck over the glass for a delay of game. Now, the Zebras got together, they discussed it, and, we didn't see it. It must have done, we didn't see it, so we're not going to call it. Oh, ironic, right? The night before, they didn't see a hit, but they called a penalty, but different ice crew. Now, fast forward to the second overtime. Now, these guys have already played 4 complete minutes, and they're into the second overtime. And the same play happens, only this time, it's a Carolina Hurricane, a visiting team, shooting the puck over the glass for the delay game. But unlike the first overtime, this time the officials throw their arm up in the air and assess a 2-minute delay game penalty. Now, could you imagine, had the Washington Capitals scored on that play, could you imagine what we'd be hearing about today? Well, earlier yesterday, it was all about the refs and the Cody Eakin-Pavelski issue, and now today the refs are biased because they don't call penalties for the Capitals, and then they do call them against the Hurricanes. That would have been a PR nightmare for the NHL. Now, luckily, Carolina, again, they have Mr. Game 7, Justin Williams, and he assisted on the game-winning goal in overtime. But can you imagine that? Freaking NHL, you all got lucky. Well, you got lucky for two reasons. One, because the Vegas Golden Knights for San Jose Sharks ratings killed it. Killed it. Yeah, we're talking about two West Coast teams. A team from California and a newbie second-year sophomore team from the desert in Las Vegas. Yes, Vegas Golden Knights, San Jose Sharks crushed it on the ratings. Now, it is because they're a rival, sure. It is because they're two very, very talented, very good teams, sure. Great hockey, yep. Great fans, yeah, for us. Them, yeah, kind of, but they're kind of a-holes picking on kids and stuff. But, yeah, I get it. It was a good series. It sucks we lost. I'm super, just VDing, you know? I was going to do a podcast with, because you guys got to realize, the last podcast I did when I was on vacation in my truck in the hotel, I had to watch those games in a hotel room. It wasn't that comfortable. It was, I had fun on vacation, but, not being at the Fortress and then coming to find out that I missed those two home games, that sucked. Especially that Sunday game with all the lights. The fact that we missed that and now the playoffs are over makes it hurt even more. My brother and Louie got to go to the game, so they liked it. But, it sucks. It's so depressing. It sucks that it's over. It sucks that it ended the way it did. It sucks that the officials got involved. Everyone's talking it's just like the NFC Championship game. The Saints, that BS, non-pass interference. Yeah. Some people are telling us now we're a real franchise. Really? We went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year and we made the playoffs. We made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Now we're a real fan base. We're a real team because we got fucked over by the refs. Newsflash, non-Vegas Golden Knights fans, but fans of other teams or fans of the NHL. The Vegas Golden Knights are extremely used to getting fucked by refs. We have gotten fucked by refs in the last 2 years. I would throw it up there and say more than any other team in the NHL, but I don't have the time, resources, or energy to actually get the stats. But when it comes to goalie interference and the questionable bullshit calls, we get fucked a lot. A lot. So I'm used to getting it by the refs and bad calls, whatever, but you can't make a call with that much magnitude in a game that means so much in the position of the game where it was. If it happened in the first 5 minutes, it could have been a different thing. But you just can't, as an official, you cannot have that much influence on a game. You just can't do it. And now, if you saw it, if you were right there and you saw him cross-check right to the head and you witnessed everything and the replay sold us that and showed us exactly what happened, there's no argument. No problem. You make the call. But people posting pictures of the rules book to explain what cross-checking is, yeah, everybody knows what cross-checking is. And any real fan knows that in the playoffs and on a face-off, that's not a cross-check. When's the last time you saw him call a cross-check to the guy's chest? The only time you're going to get a cross-check when you're both facing each other is either in a damn fight or if you clearly cross-check to the dude's dome. Other than that, cross-checking 2 minutes, he hit his stick over against my tummy. Really? They're not going to call that. Most cross-checkings are to the damn back. I felt I had to do this podcast, but I had to wait. I had to hear from Coach Turk. I had to hear from McPhee. I had to hear from the players, listen to their stories, and it made me feel a little bit better. It's almost like it was a little bit of closure. Once I got to hear from our Golden Knights, I was like, okay, they're sad just like me, just like all of you, and they're going to start their summer and try and move on just like all of us. And the ones that are signed under contract are going to be, looking forward to getting ready and coming back and, getting a little revenge next year and learn from this and mature from this and come back even more determined next year. Wild Bill, it sounded like both sides were looking to lock up Wild Bill long term. We do have some cap issues that are going to have to be moved around a little bit this offseason. I've been saying it for weeks. Don't be surprised if some players that you love near and dear on our Vegas Golden Knights don't come back next year. Could be England, could be Belmar, could be a couple other players. Maybe we'll get Nick Hague or Schultz to come in and play defense next year. Maybe we'll see some Cody Glass. We'll probably definitely see some Nikita Gusev for sure. There's a lot to look forward to. This team's built for the future. This team it's amazing we got spoiled with such a good team because our ownership is so good, but suck it, NHL. We made the playoffs 2 years in a row. And I know this season didn't end the way it did, but I don't really care. You know why? Because I'm a Vegas Golden Knights fan. I love the Vegas Golden Knights fan when they win. I love them when they lose. I don't care. Oh, on the bright side, Mr. Foley did happen to mention that we're definitely, probably, for sure, not sure, gonna get an alternate jersey next year. So we're finally going to get that third jersey. Hopefully it's our alternate logo. Who knows what color? Some people want red and black and gold, or I just want another jersey because I love our Vegas Golden Knights. But if you want to buy anything Golden Knights, you got like 3 options. You got Golden Knights logo, gray or white if you're doing jerseys, but something with the Golden Knights logo or something with the Golden Knights logo or something maybe with our alternate logo. Or I guess you can get something with Chance on it. We need another logo. We need to change it up, man. Most of our stuff is all our logo, our shield. But I don't know. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. I mean, I'm going to do a couple more podcasts between now and next season. Now, this isn't my, season-ending one, but honestly, it took me so much just to do this. I'm probably going to do one with a couple buddies. Maybe we'll get together. We'll sit around. I'll get some of the audio together from what the players had to say. Maybe we talk about it and then listen. Maybe do something like that, but no schedule for right now. This was a tough loss. I wasn't anticipating that we would be out this early in the playoffs. The only good thing to that whole situation, and you guys are going to laugh, you're going to be like, this is a dick thing to say, but saved a little bit of money. I only had to pay for 1 round of playoff tickets. I mean, and if you don't know where I'm coming from, last year I bought season tickets and then I had to buy the playoffs, and my playoff tickets was half of my regular season tickets. So I had like 46 games or something like that I paid X amount of money for. Well, cut that in half. That's how much my playoff tickets cost. So way less games, but it was worth it. I don't regret it. I guess this year I don't have to budget for that. I did budget a little bit in case if that would happen, because last year I got caught off guard, but I don't have to do that this year. Maybe I can buy another Vegas Golden Knights jersey. I don't know. I'll probably buy some more Knights Nation stuff because that seemed to be pretty popular with some of you guys. You like the Knights Nation giveaways and stuff, so maybe I'll do that. But for right now, I don't know when my next podcast is going to be. I'm fine. Just like all you guys, we're going to get through this. It just takes a couple days. That's what happens about being a fan. I mean, I guess maybe it is kind of a good thing for some of us Vegas Golden Knights fans that are new to professional sports or especially new to hockey. Maybe we did get spoiled last year. Maybe we did need this. I don't mind losing. If we lost Game 7 6-0 blowout, I wouldn't feel so bad. I'd be like, man, they just didn't show up, but they got outplayed. The way we lost is the problem. But whatever. So be on the lookout for a podcast. Wherever you listen to my podcast, just subscribe. Just hit the button and hit subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts right now, just look at your phone and hit the subscribe button. If you're on Stitcher, subscribe. In fact, do something else for me. Right now, if you're still listening to this portion of the podcast, thank you. Write a review. I don't care where you listen to my podcast. Just write a review. Throw me some stars. Say, I like this guy's podcast. He's a fan, and he wants to give information to the fans. That's my goal all along, is to just provide a little bit of history, a little bit of input, and go, look, this is the teams we're playing. This is who we got to look out for. Or, hey, the last 3 games, this is what happened. This is who scored, man. Look at how we're doing in the stats. I mean, I just try and throw a little bit out there. And I like to end all my podcasts, of course, with a rant. I always do the what the puck, right? If I was going to do a what the puck, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do a what the puck right now, but I'm not editing shit in. So you're not getting a what the puck. You know, we're not doing all that. My what the puck this week is the Nacho Lady. You guys know what I'm talking about? So as I'm watching Game 7, as soon as it happens, they cut to us. The camera cuts to Gallant. It's right after these penalties are called, so they cut to Gallant because they want to get his reaction. Well, there's a Sharks fan, a lady sitting right behind him with this ginormous bowl of what appeared to be a delicious bowl of nachos with some big old jalapenos on the top. It just looked delicious. Now, it was weird that this lady sitting at the stadium getting ready to devour these had a fork. I don't know how she was going to use a fork to eat the nachos, but okay, regardless. All I'm thinking is, I said, babe, you see those nachos? She's like, oh, hell yeah, that's a big-ass thing of nachos. And then I'm thinking, like, man, they should sell those at the Fortress, but that'd be like $30 for a thing of nachos at the Fortress. So it's probably like $10-12 up at San Jose. That should be $20-30 at the Fortress. When they up the beers from $16 to $17 because it's the playoffs, you fucking T-Mobile Arena. Yeah, I'm sure those nachos would be ridiculously expensive. But I and the wife, we saw it, we witnessed it, we talked about it briefly because it just caught everyone. It was like on live TV, and it was there for a second, so you could actually see it. And I'm thinking, babe, those nachos look delicious. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, that lady's screwed. She's like, why? I says, she's enjoying them nachos now in the first period, but that third period, man, she's going to have Code Brown from all them jalapenos on top, them jalapenos. Man, her ass going to be on fire. She's going to be Code Brown in it in the third period. Now, they never cut back to Nacho Lady, and I have no idea if she Code Browned in the third period or not, but judging by them nachos that look delicious, she probably did. Or didn't. Maybe she's got an iron stomach. Who knows? But some of our Vegas Golden Knights fans, and honestly, I thought it was kind of funny too. I mean, I don't like to shame anyone. I mean, fat shaming and all that stuff, it's kind of a dick move. I mean, honestly, between you and me, some of the times that shit's really funny. But because I do this podcast and I have to be politically correct and don't want to rub, you know what, Matt, if you're listening to this right now, you always tell me not to be such a fucking weasel and stop apologizing and shit. So, okay, fine, dude. Sometimes I fat shame a little bit, but I know it's bad. God, he's going to give me crap for that, but I don't care. No, so people were like doing these memes about the Nacho Lady, and I'm like, it ain't over till the Nacho Lady sings and stuff like that. And it's just kind of a dick move. Honestly, it is. But it was funny, too. I mean, if Sharks fans invaded our social media groups during that game and they saw that, they would roast us like crazy, and we'd deserve every minute of it. But it was kind of funny. And you guys know what I'm talking about, and those nachos look delicious. But that would be my what the puck, people talking about that, them nachos, and the fact that they upped the beer prices because T-Mobile Arena are some money-grubbing, loving sons of bitches that they like to stick it to us Vegas Golden Knights fans because, unfortunately, they're on the Strip, and they have to pay all the Strip fees and the Strip prices, and us locals that have to drive to the Strip. Yes, there is locals in Las Vegas, folks. There are people that live outside of the Strip. But no, we got to drive down to the Strip. We got to pay the ridiculous prices. It is what it is. But you know what? I don't give a shit. I wouldn't do nothing. I wouldn't change anything to not be able to go to the Fortress and watch the Vegas Golden Knights. I love the fact that the wife and I made a decision to get season tickets, not really knowing if the team was going to be good or bad. Just missed the Las Vegas Wranglers in town, missed getting to go to hockey games as a family. And we ponied up the cash and got the tickets. Now we're 2 years in the rearview mirror. We went to the Stanley Cup Finals, and we went to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year against a great team. We finished third in the division, over 90 points for the year. We had 2 guys on the team that led the league most of the season in hits. We acquired at the trade deadline the biggest name in Mark Stone, signed him to an 8-year, $9.5 million contract. We got Max Pacioretty and Paul Stastny healthy, and we saw what those 3 guys did, which is awesome for the future. We saw a slight regression, a slight regression in Wild Bill's play, only from the standpoint of scoring goals. He still was 100%, killer forecheck, blazing speed, 200-foot game. Him and Riley Smith. Those guys stayed healthy for the most part. Smith was banged up a little bit there during the season. Marchie, we don't have to talk about Marchie. Marchie's money. Our third line, I would say our only issue this season was the revolving door on the third line. But due to injuries, that was the nature of the beast. You guys all remember the Peary craze? Come on, you remember every time Peary got called up, he scored a goal? That was huge. What about the fact that we started the season without Nate Schmidt? 20 games, no Nate Schmidt. I mean, come on. All these things that happened this year. It's crazy, man. It was a crazy, crazy season. I'll never forget the very first game of the season against the Flyers. We got smoked. As soon as I left that game, I went straight to the airport and got on a plane and flew to Hawaii. It was crazy. And then I'm watching hockey in Hawaii. I'm watching football and all this other stuff, and everything's over by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, what do you do the rest of the night? It's crazy. Watching a Vegas Golden Knights game in the morning was nuts. It was cool. Fleury played so many games. How Fleury did not get nominated for the Vezina is beyond me. Beyond me. I know why Vasilevsky got there. His team was the best team all year, President's Trophy. They lost in 4 games. At least it took our Vegas Golden Knights 7 games. Crazy, crazy season, man. And it was so much fun, man. My hockey family in 216 and 217, and I got some people in 215 and 209. But my core group over by 216 and 217, man, I'm so proud of you guys. You know, we can't all make it to every game, but when we're there, we high-five, we cheer, we root, we scream, we holler. We're Vegas Golden Knights fans, man. And my Upper Bowl family, I know you Lower Bowl people, I get it. I understand, dude, it's cool. But I got like a hockey family up there, man. I look forward to seeing them at the games. I look forward to cheering with my fellow family. So thank you guys, man. For all you guys that tuned in this season, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. As you guys know, starting out with the squeaky voice and then switching over to a real voice and then switching the name of the podcast and then, you know, just spending some money, mainstreaming it, adding my bumpers, getting a logo design, doing some graphics, doing some giveaways. This was my first time ever doing this. Like honestly, I've never really had the creative drive to do something like this. And oh, cool, hold on, an airplane's flying over the top. He's on the downwind for Henderson. Oh, nice. It always reminds me, you know, those old porn videos. They used to film a lot of those in Southern California where I grew up, and you know, it's like and then you hear plane fly over the top. I apologize for you guys that don't know what pornographic is. I apologize. We'll move on. But anyways, thank you. This season's been awesome. I mean, if you listen to some of my old podcasts, they're edited kind of garbage and the audio's kind of jacked up. And then every episode, I always strive to get a little bit better. And I know some of the later ones, I had a couple regressions with some audio settings, but that's only because I was trying to do better. I mean, I listen to some other podcasts. There's some other guys that podcast out here. No disrespect, but it's like, it sounds like 2 dudes talking on a cell phone on a recorder. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts out there, and I try and get tips, tools, ideas. I watch a lot of videos. I research because I just want it to be better. But I also don't want it to take up my whole life. That's why this podcast here is nothing special. It's just a bug-eyed guy ranting pretty much. It's kind of a real long rant. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. If you like this podcast, dude, just let your friends know. Let other Golden Knights fans know, man. Because I really only use social media to push it out. I mean, if you like this, just let somebody know. And I'm looking forward to next year. Next year I got some plans. Next year I'm going to try and have more guest hosts. I'm going to try and figure out how I can get some more audio and get some better sound effects and stuff. I've got some plans. And thanks to the Golden Knights, or thanks to Dan O'Halloran and his on-ice officiating crew, I've got some extra time to practice over the summer. And honestly, a little bit of rest after everything we've been through in 2 years, I'm okay with it. You guys need to be okay with it too. It sucks. It happened. It's one of the worst losses. Even the finals, Gallant even agreed. This was the worst loss in the history of the Vegas Golden Knights. It was the hardest, toughest loss. Yeah, we didn't win the cup last year, but guess what? We were already down in the series, so we probably weren't going to win the cup. But this loss here, this loss hurts. This is a swift kick to the ball sack. For you longtime Vegas Golden Knights VGK Bug-Eye Guy podcast listeners, swift kick to the ball sack. That's what it feels like. That's why most of us couldn't go to sleep, for the dudes at least. Swift kick to the hoo-ha for you ladies, I guess we can say. Couldn't sleep the night after. Felt like shit. Had the sweats. Stomach felt all in knots. Couldn't eat. Couldn't drink. You know, I couldn't eat or drink before the game because I was so nervous and excited at the same time. But I get it. We all felt that. We all probably still feel that. As you're listening to this now, you're going, Bug-Eye Guy, I feel just like you, man. Everything you're saying, I agree with you. I mean, it sucks. It's bullshit, but we got to move on. Just take a deep breath. Go on a vacation. Take a break. Do what I'm going to do. Honestly, I'm going to continue to watch hockey because love it or hate it, there is nothing better than playoff hockey. Basketball, playoff baseball. Football is pretty good too, but the drama from playoff hockey, the last 2 days are proof. The Caps game and our game is proof that there ain't much better on this planet this time of year than NHL playoff hockey. And most people that don't agree with that have honestly never listened to playoff hockey, never watched playoff hockey. So I'm rambling on. I'm sorry if this podcast is going too long. I don't know how long it's been because I'm doing it on a field recorder, and I don't care. It's a beautiful day in Vegas. It's like 90-something degrees outside, clear skies, a little bit of clouds, just a little bit of wind, and it feels beautiful out here. And on that note, I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my evening. Thank you, Vegas Golden Knights fans, for tuning into this episode of the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Sorry it's a day late, but you guys understand why it's a day late. And honestly, you're lucky I even gave you one today. Be on the lookout. Make sure you subscribe to me so you'll know so that you get notifications when I release new podcasts. And I will throw them out on social media and Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They'll all be out there if you want to check them out at VGK Bug-Eye Guy. But yeah, thank you guys. It was an awesome season. Sucks the way it ended, but I wouldn't give it up for the world because I love this town. I love this city. I love this team. I love you Vegas Golden Knights fans. I love it. Talk to you guys later on in the summer. Can't wait for next year. I love you. And as always, go Knights go.